never born, nor does he die at any time, nor having once come to be, will he again cease to be. He is unborn, eternal, permanent, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So the Lord here is repeating exactly what he said before, but in a different way. The soul doesn't go away with the body. When the body comes back and goes back again, and when the next body comes, the soul is continuous. It's always there. The soul has been around forever, and therefore it's not old, it's not new, it's always been there. So Sri Krishna is telling Arjun to understand the soul, it's not new, it's not old, it's permanent, it's primeval, it's unborn, it's eternal. Emerson, who knows about the thinker Emerson in America? One of the most famous thinkers in America. All the great thinkers of America in the world, Emerson, Einstein, Thoreau, they read the Gita every morning. See it, research it on Google. They said that we used to bathe our intellect in the Gita every single morning. And Emerson was trying to define Brahman, the universal soul, and he says, if the slayer, very famous poem, you must have heard of this, if the slayer thinks he slays, or if the slave thinks he's slaying, he does not know the subtle ways I keep and pass and come again. If the slayer thinks he slays, and the slave thinks he's slaying, then he does not know the subtle ways I keep and pass and come again. Both the slayer and the slave do not know what is inside them, which is the soul. This is invulnerable. Shri Krishna tells Arjun to remember this and stop complaining about his forthcoming actions. Great personalities give us a very, very nice thought, that the spiciness of chilies, the sourness of lemons, or the saltiness of salt, how can we complain about these things? They're just like that. They're their material qualities. Chilies are spicy, salt is salty, and lemons are sour. But when we combine them along with other ingredients, and combine them together, we can make a nice dal out of them, which we find delicious, we complement it, it's a work of art. The same way these different ingredients that we're complaining about, they just matter. It's that thing when it all comes together, the soul, the universal soul, that we need to focus on. This body is destructible. The Samkhya scriptures, which focus on the mortality of the body and immortality of the soul, are speaking in relation to here, they're factual scriptures. We said last time, they're mathematical scriptures. Just like we say 2 plus 2 equals 4, you cannot play around with maths in any way. It's a fact. Physics is factual. In the same way, Samkhya scriptures are factual, whether Arjun believes it or not. They will always be factual. In physics, we have the law of gravitation, and that's a fact. Gravity is a fact. If an object is released above, they will fall towards the ground, it will go in a downwards direction. It's a fact. If someone doesn't believe in gravity, just go to a tree and try to jump off and see exactly what happens. He'll find out whether he believes it or not. So if one believes it or not, a law will always remain a fact. In the same way, when we're talking about the soul, whether one believes it or not, it will always remain a fact. Just do this meditation for 6 months and you know the truth. Okay? And do the other practices of yoga. There's 18 different chapters described. They're all different yogas. So when Sri Krishna talks about duty later, from the 30th, we said the second chapter of the Gita split into 3. Verses 11 to 30 is Samkhya theory about the immortality of the soul and the mortality of the body. Verses 31 to 54 is about Swadharma. What is your duty? What is the gift you have that nobody else in the world has? What can you do that's better than anyone else? Swadharma. And Arjun's duty was that of the warrior. Then from 55 to 72, last 18 verses are about Sita Prajna. Arjuna asks, how can you recognize someone who's settled in intelligence? Sita Prajna. You look at his outside qualities, internal qualities, and then we describe the 8 steps that lead to the downfall of any human being. At the moment, we're talking about Swadharma. When Sri Krishna talks, we're talking about Samkhya. When Sri Krishna talks about Swadharma, from verse 31, he'll say it should be like this should happen. These are possibilities. Most scriptures, in fact, paint this picture. There's no rule that you can say that you have to paint a picture in this way. There's thousands of different ways of painting it. One can make so many different ways of painting a horse, and the horse will still be there. You cannot say that you can only draw a horse in this way, and it becomes a horse. Because even if it's drawn in an abstract or observed form, an artist will still say that's a horse. You may go in an art gallery and see this blob, and you see the description underneath saying that this is a horse. You can't find the head, you can't find the body, you can't find the tail. It just says, frankly, this is a horse. And they give the painting a title, this is a horse. And that's what the painter called it. It's a make fun of abstract art. It's not my intention. But it's just that I can't make fun of it because I don't understand it. But people pay thousands of pounds for these pictures and put it up in their drawing room and say that this is a horse. This painter has painted a horse. So no one can challenge the painter by saying him that's not the horse because the painter's painted it. It's his choice. It's his own wish. Now there's these two types of scriptures. Those that are factual and those that paint a picture. The scriptures that Sri Krishna is mentioning right now, which is Samkhya theory, Samkhya scriptures, they're factual scriptures. Therefore, Arjun has to accept those circumstances, accept those Samkhya scriptures, and make this life for himself. So that's Samkhya scriptures. Okay, we're coming to the end. The last, we're going to do 21 and 22 together.